welcome to my channel. My name is Elena Green, and in this video I'm going to share with you guys 10 signs that you are going through a spiritual awakening. These are 10 things that I personally went through. There are tons of signs that can be included in this, but I'm just going to share the 10 that I specifically went through in hopes that maybe you're experiencing them as well. My intention with this video is to alleviate any confusion, any type of feelings of craziness, like maybe you feel like you're the only one. You're not the only one. So that is why I'm making this video, in hopes that anybody going through this right now for the first time will stumble upon this video. You will feel like you are not alone, and you will know that you are right where you are meant to be. The first sign that you are going through something spiritual, an awakening, an ascension, a rise in vibration, a shift, the first sign is that you're just gonna feel it. You're just gonna have this feeling that you are going through something. And it's not really anything that you can explain other than that. You know, you just have a feeling in your gut that you're going through something that is like a little bit bigger than you. At times you'll be inclined to think like, oh, maybe I'm making more of this than what it is, or maybe I'm not really going through something. You know, you'll have those moments where you try to think too much about it, but when you actually go deep within your being and you feel how you're feeling about the situation, you come to that piece of just knowing that you are going through something bigger than yourself, and it's okay. Number 2 are things in your life start to fall apart big time, in a very big way. These are jobs, friendships, other relationships, hobbies, things that you enjoyed. These can be situations that kind of like pile on top of you all at once. So it can happen like you lose your job. You wake up the next day to go try to find a new job, and you realize your transmission's going out of your car. At the same time, your dog gets sick. At that same exact time, you start getting sick. You know, it's like, it would be something like that, you know, where all of these things start happening at once, and you're like, wow, you know, the universe is definitely testing me right now. So what happens is the energy of your life starts to break down in such a way that it becomes very noticeable. So just know that that's a very normal part of this, and that's definitely like an early sign that you are going through something bigger than yourself. That energy in your life becomes very disrupted. It starts to break down in a very big way. And also with this one, you also just have a feeling that something is going on, that something is happening that you just can't put your finger on, but you know it's happening. Number 3, it kind of goes along with the first 2, but number 3 is that you are working really hard at something, a bunch of things, and it just seems like you cannot get anywhere with whatever it is you're working towards. So whether that be a hobby, your job, a relationship, you're working so hard, you're really putting in energy, and you're really, you know, focusing and trying your best, but it just seems like no matter what you do, you cannot get anywhere with whatever it is you're working at. It's almost like there's just this energetic wall that is standing in your way, and you are unable to break the threshold of this barrier, and you just can't get anywhere. And so that's definitely like another noticeable sign that I noticed in the beginning of my journey. It just seemed like I couldn't get anywhere. It's that whole feeling of, wow, that was very, very low plane. It's that feeling of like taking 2 steps forward and 10 steps backwards. It becomes so heavy in your life with that feeling that you get frustrated. There's like this feeling of frustration that you almost have to fight against in the beginning, because you just can't get anywhere. And I have my own theory as to why this happens. It's because the universe, God, the energy, you need to stop what you're doing in life and go through this process, this rise in vibration, this shift. And if you don't take the time to stop right now and do that, you know, you're gonna you're not going to become your best self, your best version. So the universe technically has your back right now, and it's like, hey, look, like I know you're working very hard at these things, but we're gonna stop, we're gonna chill, and we're gonna do some things because there's some things you need to learn to better yourself. So that's my theory as to why you just can't get anywhere with what you're working on right now. So if that's happening to you, just know that that's a very, very big sign that you are going through a spiritual awakening, a shift, something. Number 4 is loss of motivation, disinterest in hobbies, other things you once loved or enjoyed. And then this kind of leads into the ID crisis, which I will talk about a little bit further on. But this loss of motivation, this disinterest in hobbies, this becomes something that really messes with your mind in the beginning, because it's something like this disinterest in hobbies. These hobbies are things that you loved, things that you thoroughly enjoyed, things that made your soul like really happy. And all of a sudden it just seems like you don't want to do these things anymore. They don't even make you happy. It's like you don't even enjoy them. And it becomes hard to deal with, and it also makes you question yourself, and it also makes you ask yourself like, wow, like am I depressed? Am I really like, what's wrong with me? You know, I don't even enjoy the things that I loved. And I just want you to know that that's a very normal part of this process as well. You will go through this period where like those old things that were associated with those old identities that you are now kind of shifting out of, they will no longer bring you this happiness, this you know, you got this calming effect from these activities or these things that you were doing, whether it be a hobby, whether it be something that you did to pass the time, whether it be a television show, Netflix, you know, whatever it was, it no longer gives you that same satisfaction. So it's almost pushing you to spend time by yourself, to sit, to think, to ask yourself questions, and to dig deeper within your being. So that's also another reason why this happens during this journey, I think, in my opinion, to make you question yourself, to make you dig deeper, to make you unable to deal with those things so that you can dive into yourself and start looking a little bit deeper within your being. Because if those things continue to work for you, and you know, you continue to pass the time doing those things or spending time with those people, you're not going to learn the things that you need to learn. You're not going to take the time to do that inner work, right? And another part of this is people, okay? Disinterest in people. So this is that time in the journey where you start pushing yourself away from different people, from friendships, from people that you hung out with, that you love so much, where you start realizing that they're not that good for your energy, they're not good for your being, they're bringing you down. So you start to lose interest in these people as well, and you start to push yourself away from them. So it kind of happens in both ways, with things and hobbies as well as people. You will just have a disinterest. And then the lack of motivation comes into play, where, you know, if there was something you were doing that was associated with an old identity that you're now shifting out of, that loss of motivation will become very prevalent in your life. So you will just have no motivation to continue doing those things unless they were truly authentic and unless they truly aligned with the new person that you are becoming. So just know that if you're losing interest in hobbies or things that you've done throughout your whole life, that's okay and that's normal, and you're just growing and becoming a different person, and there's going to be better hobbies, better things that you become interested in and that you start to learn and become guided towards throughout this journey. So don't get too concerned at that time. You know, before you kind of understand what's going on, it's something that can truly concern you, because you're changing so much. You're losing interest in certain friends and certain activities and certain things that you once enjoyed, and it really just starts making you feel like, who am I? Which is why I said it leads into the ID crisis, which I will touch on in a few minutes. Number 5 is repeating numbers, other coincidences, or synchronicities is really what they're referred to as, because the whole idea of coincidences is that, you know, that they're not real, that we're actually creating these things that we consider coincidences in our life, that we are creating them with the law of attraction in our thoughts. So as you begin to rise in vibration, your manifestation power is going to start to rise. You are going to become more of a creator. And what begins to happen is you're going to start to notice number synchronicities. You're going to start to notice different coincidences that are very startling, very repetitive, very in your face, in such a way that it cannot just be happening, right? You know, I spoke about numbers in another video that I had made. If you didn't watch that one, I'm going to link it below. But these numbers start showing you what I call the attention grabbers. So you're going to start noticing your birthday, an apartment address that you lived in, your old telephone number, your birth weight, whatever it is, a number that means something to you. Those are numbers that are going to start sticking out to you, and you're going to start seeing them everywhere. And then they might change. They might go into what they call the master numbers, which are just a double vibration. So you're going to go into like a 22, the 33s, the 44s, the 55s. They can have specific meanings, but sometimes they are just a friendly hello, a friendly reminder that you are not alone, that you are going through something. These number sequences, as well as the other synchronicities that you're going to see, start to show up very heavy to you to allow you to know that you are going through something that is bigger than you. The universe, God, it is something that is of a frequency, so it cannot speak to you in words, but it can speak to you through frequencies and through coincidences and through these things that it aligns through energy. So you're going to see the numbers, repeated numbers. You're going to have very strange coincidences happen. You are going to have guides that show up in the form of repetitive animals and maybe insects or a different bird that comes to visit you. You are going to have things that happen in such a repetitive way that you know it is not just a coincidence. And this is by no coincidence that the universe is doing this. It is doing this so that you know what's going on, and so that you can feel more comfortable about what is taking place, because it is very, very alarming in the beginning and can be very, very hard and confusing and lonely and scary. So God wants you to know that you're not alone, and so you're going to see the numbers and you're going to have those coincidences. Just know that you're not going crazy, that you are being shown that you are not alone, and that that is profound and that that is beautiful. So be very grateful when you see those coincidences and those numbers show up. Number 6 is probably the least favorite sign you're going through this. It's the physical symptoms. It's what's referred to as the ascension flu. You are going to get bouts of vertigo, dizziness, nausea. You may experience hot flashes, night sweats, blurred vision, aches and pains, phantom pain, where you wake up one morning and like your hips hurting for no reason at all for like a whole day, and then it goes away and you're like, wow, okay, what was that? Or one day you might wake up and your left foot is swollen, but just your left foot, and then it goes away and everything's fine. Very strange occurrences will happen. You will get these aches and pains out of nowhere. You can experience some very strange physical symptoms as this energy is being cleansed and released from your body. Now, I'm going to say that if you experience something that concerns you or really negatively impacts you, definitely go see a doctor. This is not any type of medical advice. However, a lot of the times when you are experiencing spiritual symptoms or spiritual physical ascension symptoms, when you go and try to get these things looked at or checked out, there is going to be no physical cause. So you basically what it is it's a physical manifestation of the energy that's leaving your body. So the negative energy that's being cleansed and released from your body is going to have to manifest physically. So it can do that in the number of ways of which I just talked about. Some people experience rashes, skin issues. You may experience headaches, very strange, vivid dreams, ringing in the ears, which is something that I definitely experienced that drove me crazy to the point of actually thinking something was wrong with my ears. Fatigue. You're going to experience sleepiness. My first shift, I was so tired for about 2 months that all I could muster the energy to do was to go to work and to take my dog on a walk. I would come back home and I would spend the rest of the time literally laying in my bed. I was so physically exhausted. Now, if that's going on in your life and you've never experienced that before, one could start to think that there's something totally wrong. And see, if you start throwing yourself into that upset, that worry, that thinking something's wrong with you, you can actually put yourself into a very negative downward spiral at the time. So that's why this is something that's so important yet also difficult to talk about, because it can be something that's physical that needs to be taken care of, but also it can be a spiritual symptom that you kind of just need to let work itself out. And truly only you can know this through your intention and through the way that you feel. So, you know, go back to that tip number 1 where I talked about that feeling of intuition. If you feel as though you are going through something and you feel in your heart like you don't need to worry, you know, kind of listen to that and go with that. That's just my personal opinion. Oh, number 7, the other least favorite symptom, I would say, in my opinion, which are the emotional symptoms. So you start experiencing what I refer to as the spiritual depression, spiritual anxiety, spiritual paranoia, loneliness, a deep sense of sadness. This is usually the time where one starts to get that deep feeling of wanting to go home, even though you have no idea where home is. You can sense that it's not here, and you just have this feeling of wanting to go home. It's not a suicidal feeling. It's not a feeling of wanting to leave Earth, but in a sense, it's a feeling of wanting to be somewhere else, if that makes sense. So that's the time where one starts to feel that way, which can also be very disturbing, because one will start to question, you know, why am I feeling this way? You know, am I depressed? Is there something truly wrong with me? And like I said before, you know, if you truly are experiencing symptoms that are negatively impacting your life, please go see somebody. But don't be so quick to hop on medicine. That's just my personal opinion. You know, if you feel in your heart that you need it, do so. But some of these spiritual symptoms associated with this anxiety, this depression, it's just something that you experience and then it passes. So I feel as though some people experience it, they get stuck in that, thinking that they are experiencing depression or anxiety. They begin to take medicine and they get themselves stuck in a thing, you know what I'm saying? So really you have to use your discernment. But for those of you who are watching this video, a lot of you guys will know that what you're going through is spiritual, and you will just have that feeling. You know, this can just make you feel very lost, very lonely, very confused. You're shedding a lot of layers away from you. You're breaking down lots of ego conditioning that you've carried around for your entire life, a lot of programming. And what happens when you start to do that is you begin to question who you are, because those old identities are breaking down. So you're left with the true essence of who you are, and that's what you're starting to build, and that's who you're getting to know through this process, through this journey. But when you start to break down those layers, it's scary because you feel like you don't know who you are. And that's what leads into the ID crisis, which I talked about in number 4, which is also referred to as the dark night of the soul. So I'm going to link that with this number 7 here. This ID crisis goes into these emotional symptoms. You know, you're going to go into this feeling maybe of not knowing who you are. And it's a normal part of this process. It goes along with, like I said, just shedding those layers, shedding that energy, which is referred to as, you know, shedding those layers, shedding what does not serve you. This is past energy that you're carrying around within your being. You know, our cells hold cellular memory, so those cells need to release that energy. It manifests physically in the form of depression, anxiety, and then we experience it physically to release it, to let it go, and to heal it. So during that time, during that healing, that deepest part of our healing, when we are releasing and healing the darkest, the most energy that we've carried, it's the scariest and it's the darkest time, which is, I think, why they call it the dark night of the soul. And you will begin to question who you are. So it's a normal part of the process. And just knowing that, and just knowing that what you're going through is normal, and it is a part of this journey, and many of us go through it in such a way that it can be very, very, very difficult to just deal with, you know? The dark night of the soul is something that a lot of people can get stuck in. A lot of people can, Oh, and what I mean by get stuck in it is you know, it's so dark and it's scary, it's lonely. So if you focus your mind there, that is what you will create. So if you focus your mind on the energy of scary, on the energy of feeling sad, you're gonna create more of that. You will attract more of that into your life. So the dark night is a very difficult part of the journey, and it's a very crucial part of the journey where there's nothing more important than keeping your mind positive during that time, focusing on what makes you happy, following your joy. Because it is that time where that negative energy can get you stuck in a loop. And a lot of people do get stuck at that point. So if you're experiencing that point and you feel as though maybe you are in that dark place, know that it is a very normal part of the journey. And I do have some other videos on that, which I will link below if you want to watch a few more videos about that. But just know that you are not alone in going through the darkness and going through the dark things that you're experiencing, that loneliness, that confusion, some of the maybe scarier manifestations of how that energy is being manifested physically. It can be very scary in the form of dreams and the form of some other things, which I will touch on later in this list. But I did just want to spend a minute talking about this because it's a very noticeable part of the journey that can definitely really negatively impact a person if they don't know what they're dealing with, or they may not know how to get through it in the quickest way that they can, which is keeping your mind positive, listening to what the universe is trying to tell you, following your intuition, and letting go of what you are being asked to let go of. And sometimes, you know, there are just a series of lessons that we're here to learn, and we cannot speed it up. It's just the way that it is. And we just have to be open to understand that these lessons are ultimately for our best interest, even though it doesn't seem that way at the time, especially when you're going through other cycles and continuing to be put through this. Because what a lot of us think is the first time you go through a shift, you think you're just going to go through it, and then you get to the end of it and you move on and life's easy and there it is. But what it is you continually go through these cycles, you continually go through these shifts, especially as you realize how aligned you are with nature. Every year we go through these shifts. Every year we grow and we rise a little bit more. So this is something that is continuous, but the first shift is definitely the hardest, where you experience the most symptoms and the most, what's the word, in the most in your face way. Number 8, your spirit guides are going to show up, okay? Now, for me, spirit guides are animals. They are insects. They are birds. They are physical things from Mother Nature. I receive certain visitors during certain times. As you begin to go through this, you're going to start to notice which visitors come to you and when they come to you. They have a message. It's not something that you can auditorily hear. You know, it's not like they're actually going to speak to you, but they have a message for you. I would encourage you to look up what the spiritual meaning is if you are seeing something repetitively. Nothing that is in your consciousness repetitively is without a meaning. So look up what the spiritual meaning is. I bet it will floor you. I will link below a very good spirit animal totem source that you can look up what animal you are seeing. But your spirit guides are going to show up either in the physical, in, you know, your waking life, or they're going to show up in dreams. They may actually speak to you in dreams. You may speak to a relative in a dream. A friend may have a message for you in a dream, something like that. And it can also be humans in your waking life as well. The universe, God is so smart and so beautiful. It's gonna speak to you through other people. So that's why always keep your mind and your heart open to who's around you and who's coming into your reality, because those will be your spirit guides as well. A stranger with a wise word for you, somebody who says something that totally sparks your mind, or something, you know, the universe will speak through other people. So keep an eye out for your spirit guides, because they will definitely start to show up. And if you're seeing something repetitively, it's not a coincidence. Coincidences are not real. So keep your eye out for them. Or if you are seeing them repetitively, just know that yes, they are a spirit guide and they do have a message for you. Just focus on them for a few minutes, thank them for coming into your reality, and ask what the message is, and just keep an open heart for a moment and allow that message to reach you. Number 9 is strange, vivid dreams. You will have very strange, vivid dreams. Sometimes they will have a message, sometimes they will have no message at all. Sometimes if it is during your darkest moments, like if you're going through a dark night of the soul, these dreams can be very dark, they can be very scary. What it is you are releasing dark, negative energy from your cells through cellular memory, and it's gonna manifest physically, so it can be released through dreams, like I said, through physical experiences, through physical feelings, or through emotional feelings. And dreams are definitely one that people experience. So if you are having very negative, scary dreams, that's definitely a normal sign. If you are having dreams where your spirit guides are coming to you that are so vivid and people are talking to you and you're seeing your past loved ones, that's a sign. If you are having dreams of like your goals and you're seeing yourself in the future and you're seeing like what you want to do, and you know, you're waking up and you're feeling very empowered and you're like, wow, you know, that's a sign. You know, your dreams can speak to you in a myriad of ways, but they're always going to be very symbolic. So definitely keep an eye on what is in your dreams and what they're saying to you. And number 10, the 10th sign that you are going through a spiritual awakening, going through a shift, a rise in vibration, are the paranormal experiences, which I also made a video about that I will link below. You're gonna experience some things that are very strange, that you have no explanation for, that cannot be explained with words. And you will know within your heart, soul, and in your being that like a miracle just happened, you know, that you were just like blessed by something around you, that this didn't just happen. You're gonna have some miracles happen, some very paranormal, beautiful experiences. And what I want you to know is you are not imagining these things. You are not making this up, all right? Do not try to think your way out of it. Do not try to analyze it. God is present. The universe is powerful. It is receptive, it is alive, it is responding to you, and it is communicating to you, all right? And so when you begin to experience these beautiful synchronicities, these beautiful, strange, paranormal experiences, just be grateful and use it as your fuel and as your motivation to know that what you are going through is beautiful, that what you are going through is right, and that you are exactly where you are meant to be right now. You are blessed to be where you are at, and even though it can be very difficult in the beginning, when you are releasing most of that energy, I know that deep down you have this feeling of peace, even if it's fleeting, even for a moment, and it goes, but there's this feeling of peace that you have there, right? I want you to try to hold on to that feeling of peace as much as you can, and I want you to know that that feeling of peace is your guide, and it is not lying to you. What you are going through right now is the greatest, most beautiful thing that you could ever go through. You are releasing energy that you have carried around for many, many years, this lifetime, maybe other lifetimes, who knows? But what this is going to do is it's going to make you a better human being, a lighter human being, a more happy human being, a more powerful human being. When one rises in vibration, rises in frequency, what happens is your personal power is amplified, okay? Your manifestation power, our God-given power to be creators and to create our reality, to not be controlled by the corporate influences that surround us, to be free-thinking, self-actualized human beings. That is why God gave us this power. We have been controlled and programmed and manipulated to not know this power, to repress this power, to hide this power. And this journey is simply a waking up to this power, a reminder that you have this power, to shed that energy that's weighing you down, that's keeping you at a lower vibration, so that you may utilize this power. You are not crazy. You are exactly where you're meant to be. And even if it's difficult right now and you don't know where you're going, how you're going to do it, what you're meant to do, maybe you don't know what your purpose is just yet, but I can promise you that if you have found this video and if you are even questioning what your purpose is, you are in the right place and you will find what your purpose is. That is a promise. Your purpose reveals itself when you are ready. And right now, you're probably not ready, but that purpose will reveal itself to you. So just know that. And I will also link that video below. Don't worry, you're exactly where you're meant to be. Thank you for watching this video. I hope that it helped you feel a little bit better, gave you a sense of peace, helped you calm down a little bit. I know how scary this is in the beginning, especially when you're not surrounded by anybody who's going through it. It's like, wow, what is going on, right? I think there's a reason for that. We are put through this alone so that we can take that time to do the inner work. If we were surrounded by others like us, it would distract us and we would not spend as much time getting to know ourselves as we need to at this moment. So continue to do the inner work. I'm glad that you found this video, and I will see you in the next video. Keep your head up. Peace and love, baby. Peace and love.